Hey, welcome back, and in today's video, there's this YouTuber. His name is Quackity. He's a massive YouTuber, children's YouTuber, does Minecraft videos. And it would be a problem if somewhere within that, let's say a Discord server, that there was predatory behavior. Specifically from this individual's brother, who goes by RoScripts. Some of these alleged events happen to people as young as 12 years old. We need to talk about this. I need to get your opinions in today's episode of My Hair Keeps Getting Longer. Quackity is a YouTuber with 5.67 million subscribers. He's got a brother named RoScripts with 49.8 thousand subscribers. RoScripts' name is Adrian. He's Quackity's brother. He's been accused of grooming minors. These things are alleged. Truthfully, I don't know why more people aren't talking about this. I think it has to do with the fact that it's the Minecraft crowd, and that is mostly children. So then children aren't really going to pay attention to this type of stuff. So this one's for the parents. Parents, this video's for you. RoScripts is a famous internet celebrity, but somehow has managed to stay out of the limelight. Moreover, he is also the older brother of another famous YouTuber, Quackity. Quackity has reached the height that he has, managing work with famous personalities like Mr. Beast and Dream. You can kind of see my surprise with this situation in how nobody's talking about it, mostly because RoScripts is kept under, he's been keeping himself hidden. His real name is Adrian, and he used to play a character on his brother's YouTube channel when he played Roblox. That's where the name RoScripts came from.
Roblox. But I will not do this alone. My brother RoScripts will help me review the different games the Roblox community has to offer.
Where am I?
So he's promoting his brother alongside his channel. They have a collective Discord server where at least one point in time, he was the admin over this server. So if these alleged things are happening within this server, then obviously Quackity has a large bit of this responsibility to do with this, as he's feeding people into this type of situation. On September 29th of 2020, a Twitter user came out with a statement saying, TW grooming. Hey, I wanted to talk about this since I've kept it bottled up for so long. At this point, I don't have much left to lose. I'm a victim of RoScripts and his grooming. I'm RosBloom in particular. If you were involved in the QHQ Discord in 2018 to 2019, you might recognize my name because I've tried to come out about it a few times, but unsuccessfully. I first want to address this before I move on to what actually happened. Yes, I'm 13. Yes, I was 11 to 12 then, and I said I was 13 to 14, but it does not excuse what RoScripts did to me. He still thought I was an early teen. For timeline purposes, I joined the QHQ server in mid-late 2018. I would interact with RoScripts occasionally and joke around with him in the Discord until about a few weeks after I first joined, which is when he started talking to me much more. I was friends with a group of teenage girls. At this time, I wasn't open about me possibly being trans. In 2018, it wasn't as accepting as it is now. We all interacted with RoScripts and eventually made a group chat with him too. At this point, me and him were friends. Now, I've been told that RoScripts is currently around 25 years old, so if he was, this was about 2018, so that's 19, 20, 21, that was about 3 years ago, so he would have still been in his 20s if that's the case. A 20-year-old has no business being friends with 11, 12, 13, or 14-year-olds, so that in itself is very problematic. We would voice call several times a week, but I would stay muted because of my selective mutism and me being incredibly uncomfortable with speaking to anyone online who didn't fully know. He tried to coerce me into speaking to him through getting me to trust him and him saying it'll be fine and a whole bunch of nothings. He talked a lot privately to me. Keep in mind, eventually I did speak to him. He moved me to a VC with him and him alone. He asked me about my panda face mask. It's a panda face mask I always wore in photos of myself I'd send to the group chat. He asked me about it and was slowly trying to switch the topic to can you take it off? But I had to leave the VC. All of us would play Roblox together and he'd interact with my character weirdly, to say the least. In a way you could say it was like inappropriate, but as a joke. We'd play what we called a furry in town game, and in both he interacted with me like that. Now this is really giving me Pyrocynical vibes. If you're unfamiliar with that situation, Pyrocynical reached out to and had interactions with a 15-year-old They played fantasy, inappropriate type of role plays, and it was furry role play. So it's very interesting for me to see even the word furry in this situation. Then he started sending me jokingly inappropriate messages through Discord on a one-to-one basis. So I started telling more and more people, like my other friend outside of the group chat and QHQ moderators, who eventually brought it up to Axel. And this right here, this is actually another streamer. They go by Axel on Twitter and have over 200,000 Twitter followers. And they actually released a statement about this as well, and we're going to go over that a little bit later in the video. By the way, these moderators, except for one that I know of, are no longer moderators. This is actually not the first situation that I've talked about where somebody had a terrible Discord server. You might remember I covered a situation to do with Eugenia. And in that situation, she actually had moderators who were child censored because of YouTube's algorithm. It was a very terrible situation to where Eugenia actually ended up deleting her entire Discord server, which I think was a really good idea. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put it in the pinned comment. We hit a dead end because at the point of during me telling people, I started deleting screenshots of everything, because every time I'd open up my computer files and see the screenshots of his messages, I'd have a panic attack. The only thing I had left were messages he sent me through one-on-one DMs and messages through the server. I was aiming to have Alex, and that's the brother, Quackity, aware, but since there wasn't much to go off of, Axel told me it wasn't a good idea considering they're brothers. I just want to make people aware. Do not interact with him if you are a minor. You're risking going through what I did. I don't want anyone else dealing with that. There was actually more to her story. If you want to read it in its entirety, I will put that in the pinned comment. Something else I want to talk about is I think this situation didn't blow up as big as it should have, for the main reason of, like, the majority of the followers of Quackity, they are children, and this stuff really never was talked about outside of that fan base. And children, when they see stuff like this, they don't really care. They don't really care about evidence or anything to do with that kind of stuff. They just want to watch Minecraft. And I'm hoping by me talking about it here on this platform that it does pick up a little bit of traction and get people talking, because with the deleted responses and the way that this situation was handled and the fact that Quackity actually never addressed it himself, there's a lot of answers that need answering. Questions. I meant questions. So this person's story came out September 29th of 2020. Keep that in mind. Nothing really happened in this situation, and the Discord server was allowed to keep going on. We don't really know the specific situations of what happened or who was enabling what or who was taking action. It wasn't actually until next year, another Twitter user, July 26, 2021, Owen says on Twitter, "Hi there, I'd like to chime in about the RoScripts situation. As I worked with Quackity as an editor for a while and was also an admin moderator on his Discord server, working in the same circles as RoScripts in 2017 to 2021. I'd first like to remind everyone that RoScripts is currently 25 years old. Here are some DMs with someone who was 16 while RoScripts was in their 20s as an example of his inappropriate behavior back in 2017. So again, Adrian is RoScripts, and you can see some of the tones he's saying here. He's referring to this individual as a little girl, saying I only date Roblox girls. Here he's asking, how old are you? To which they say, I'm 16. He says, oh, you're still a little girl then. Oof. They say, I know you're like in your 30s. He says 20s, you're still a little girl. They go on to say, here's a voice clip from March 2018 in the staff voice chat when RoScripts was temporarily in charge of the Discord. He created a not safe for work channel and allowed minors to access it, laughing when confronted by another mod. I'm gonna play the audio now, but I actually learned how to do like a new After Effects thing, and I want you to let me know if you guys like this audio being presented in this way, because I might be doing it in the future videos.
No, they can't be soft banned because it's literally NSFW.
No, this is
need
inappropriate.
to confirm they are of over legal age to view the
None of these
content in
people
this
are
channel.
over legal age, RoScripts. None of these people are not. That is not over 18. A release is not over 18. This is not okay.
Dude. Okay.
This is
just
actually
temporary.
something
This
that
is
can.
just
No, this is something that can be legally used against adults. Okay, I'm not comfortable with this. This is not okay.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Look, I understand what you're saying, and I get what you're trying to say right now, and I get your point. But I mean, dude, dude, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, it's just gonna be a temporary channel for just literally like what 30 minutes.
Being an admin in the Quackity server, it was known and discussed how RoScripts would befriend people quite a bit younger than him. However, many times after arguments, the situation would be swept under the rug and forgotten. Most of the time, RoScripts would be playing Roblox or something with these people who he came close to and had a lot of inappropriate messages with. I'm sure many people who had been close to him in the last few years know what I'm talking about. There was one point in 2018 after the NSFW channel situation in which RoScripts was pushed out of the Quackity server, as Quackity himself had some pressure on him because of his actions. However, anything after this was really blindsided. So this right here is interesting to me because so far as we know, Quackity has not said anything about this situation, which honestly, this is his Discord server, this is his responsibility, as we've talked about these types of situations before. If this is true, then he did remove his brother from the server. But my main issue with this is it was done quietly. There was no address of this publicly. And the only way we found out about it is from people coming forward with their story. That's not how somebody should handle these situations. There have been quite a few minors defending him, saying, oh, I was in group chats with RoScripts, and yeah, he said some weird jokes, but we didn't mind. This is not a defense of his behavior and his pattern of clearly creepy and predatory behavior. I also want to encourage those with similar experiences to come forward. We'll probably be updating this thread over time. Interestingly enough, if you remember the streamer we talked about earlier, they did come out with a statement about exactly 3 hours after the last statement that we just went over. So I feel like it was kind of coordinated. This is what they said. This is the twit longer in its entirety. Pause to read. They start off by saying, I want to preface everything I'm about to say with I 100% believe and support the victims, and I felt horrible reading through the thread. I also apologize it took me a few hours to write this, so it's interesting to me, and I'm glad that they actually finally came out to say something, but they're like, oh, I'm sorry it took me a few hours to write something, but if you remember, in the original thread that came out back in 2019, it was cited that this person was telling the victim not to come forward. So that's something to keep in mind. They actually say, I never spoke to this person directly. I'm not saying this to discredit anything they've said. Like I said, I believe their thread 100%, which in retrospect was wrong of me. As far as I'm aware, I was never approached by them directly, but I should have searched for them even if there was an inkling of anything inappropriate. I was approached by a moderator who was approached by someone the knew. They say I was not aware of a lot of the information I read today, and this is my fault. I should have pushed and pursued this a lot more. Going on to say, I've since learned a lot more about dealing with situations like this and continue to learn every single day. Helping victims get the voice they deserve is very important. He says that him and RoScripts was never on good terms, and at one point RoScripts was put as the owner of the entire server, and that made them pretty much quit their positions. Now, to find out that this person was not just an admin, but an owner of the server is really, really concerning to me. Talking about the NSFW channel, a lot of us felt this was completely inappropriate with the server having a lot of very young people. RoScripts was very persistent on this. That combined with the fact that all of us felt very uncomfortable with a lot of RoScripts' activity in the server, it led to a lot of us making it known that we would refuse to work on the server as long as RoScripts played a part in it. In the next part, they talk about Alex Quackity coming into the server to solve these issues, which to me shows that he was aware of this situation but refused to make this publicly known. So because the moderators were quitting, it led to Alex talking to RoScripts, with the conclusion being he would remain as admin, but would stop being active in the server. I have not spoken to RoScripts since then, besides a very brief hello when I met their family in passing in 2019. Considering a lot of what surfaced today happened in the same year as the events described prior 2018, I should have pushed Quackity a lot harder and had him completely removed from the server. I was way too passive in a position of power. And again, in this situation, the responsibility falls back on Quackity. He is the influencer. He is the person that's the leader of this community. He's supposed to set up these types of things. He's supposed to check on which moderators are running his servers. In my own server, my moderators, they're ID checked. Like, I take it very serious because I want to make sure that my community in the Discord server is completely safe. And I take full responsibility of these situations, and I take them. I mean, you have to. You have to when you're dealing with a community of people in their actual lives. This, to me, shows irresponsibility on Quackity's part. One Twitter user said, for everyone reading this thread, this is RoScripts' response. In it, he provides a lot of detail and context to the server and close relationships. It seems like he's referring to. So let's check RoScripts' response. It doesn't exist anymore. says the post has been deleted. Now there's 28 individual pieces of this tweet longer, including images and all. I'm going to put them in a Google Doc and I'll put it in the pinned comment so you guys can check it out. But I want to go over specific parts that are relevant to the things that we've already talked about. So the very first thing he says is he's going to present the truth, and he talks about how there are several other false alleged things popping up. About the initial grooming situation that came out, he says and explains the situation about the Discord server and how this person was very toxic. He gives a whole backstory about how they were all just toxic, which to me is kind of strange coming from, I think he was 20 or 23 at the time of this. It's coming from a 20-year-old, and he's talking about 12 and 13-year-olds. Yeah, they're kids, they're going to be toxic. So that's very strange to convey that. Specifically in reference to the Owen thread, he says, this person shared Discord images of me using words like little girl to paint me as a creep. However, these messages have been taken completely out of context. Shows a young girl asking to be mod, to which he says no. He tells the girl to go to sleep, calls her a little girl. To which they actually say, you only pick mods who are 13 years old and Hispanic. To which he says, oh God, no, if the choice was up to me, I would choose different mods. To which the 13-year-old says, so you would choose me? He says, I'd have to think about it. In another, he says, as you can see the screenshot, nothing was ever intended to be taken inappropriately. Specifically to the use of little girl, which was taken out of context. To which I really don't understand why he's showing this. Because he says he only dates Roblox girls to this 13-year-old. I don't think his arguments are very strong, and I can kind of see why he deleted this. He tried to say that him saying, thanks dude, I appreciate it, was him shutting down a flirtatious conversation with a minor. See this image showcasing me shutting down flirtatious talk. Again, not thinking much of it, just letting this person know we're just friends. And again, this to me is not shutting it down, but rather egging it on. So this is how you create a boundary. If somebody does something to you that you don't like, you say, don't do that, or you don't respond to them. Anything to let them know that that behavior is something not to be continued. Now, if they do something that you don't like and you continue to say, hey, I appreciate it, thanks, man, those are inviting positive words that continue a type of behavior. It does not establish a correct boundary. Now, judging from what the comments were saying, it appears that he may have deleted it because people was tweeting underneath it, providing different contexts and different evidences for specific things. I'm actually very concerned about the situation. I do think the responsibility falls on Quackity to moderate properly his Discord channels, especially when it's his own community. Like, you can't just put out content, collect the money, and then not do the due diligence to check and make sure everything's going okay. Also, on two separate occasions, we saw that he was aware of the situations that were ongoing, yet this was never brought up publicly. This was never even talked about. There was no, and I'm sorry, I'll do better. And part of the reason I believe there wasn't one is because he's not been pushed to talk about this. I don't think he's been pushed to address it at all. It's been quite literally swept under the rug, and they're trying to move on as if these situations didn't happen. But these situations are severe. These situations involve many minors, and we need to know more about it. We need to make sure that the Discord server, what's the situation with that? Is there anything that's still ongoing within it? Is there anything that has been changed to make it better? We don't know, and I think that's where we're at with the whole thing. Is we have no idea what the situation is, but I do want to know. If you guys have any information about this, just let me know, and I'll be interested to see what you guys think about this entire situation, because as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed it. I want to know what you think, so just go leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up those likes as always, brothers and sisters. I will see you in the next video. Oh, I don't know. I just feel like something's shady about this situation. But other than that, I feel like my hair is getting a lot longer. It's I did have the disconnect on both sides. The disconnect on this side, well, really the disconnect's kind of going away. I think I'm moving on to a different realm of hair. I don't know, but other than that, I want to say, Thank you to my patrons. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to support what I do here on the channel, then you can get your name at the end of my videos. That link will be in the pinned comment. Also, thank you to everybody who is donating to the fundraiser. We're currently at 11,357, exceeded over the goal of 10,000. We have 132 days left to get to 15,000. If you'd like to help me reach this goal and help survivors in difficult situations, then just go to any of my videos that say fundraiser, click donate, and do $1. We'd already meet this goal if 4,000 of you donated at least $1, and that's all I'd really be asking. If you have a spare dollar, if you know you're not going to go to the convenience store today and pick up a coffee for $1, that 99 cents, then you might consider donating to the fundraiser to help us reach this goal. And that is also another way to show that you're repping, and if you're at repping your Greg, and how you do that, I'll go to subscribe, notification turn on, be in the comment section after every single video, because I'm going to be there. Greg the Cat's going to be there, and the rest of the RoScripts community as well, and I expect to see you there too, because this channel loves you. Oh, let's see if we can get 3,000 likes on this video. 3,000 likes? Rep Squad? 3,000 likes.